In version 6.2, Genshin is breaking its own rules by giving massive buffs to some of the oldest characters in the game belonging to the Hexenzirkel group. On top of buffing their talents and constellations, each of them also gets a special Hexenzirkel passive that activates when paired with another member, enabling even more buffs in each character's kit and making them actually meta-relevant and even strong enough to compete with some of the most powerful units in the game. In this guide, we'll cover each character's new talents, constellations, and Hexenzirkel passives, as well as their overall value after these changes. Hello, welcome to Genshin Filter, your quick guide for everything Genshin. So let's get started! The Alakino and Zhongli banners are here, and I know topping up in-game can get really expensive. Here is how you can save money with today's sponsor, Loot Bar. Loot Bar is a safe, secure and reliable way to top up Genesis crystals, with up to 25% off compared to in-game prices. That includes the new Chronal Nexus. Plus, new users get a 10% off coupon. Loot Bar has worked with many well-known creators and has great reviews, so it's very safe and trustworthy. The process is super simple. Choose the deal you want, enter your UID and server, and you are done. It's 100% safe and delivered just under 30 minutes. And yes, PlayStation and Xbox players can use it too. Loot Bar also supports other games like Honkai Star Rail and Withering Waves, so hit the link in the description or pinned comment to try it yourself and start saving. And thank you Loot Bar for sponsoring this video. Durin is the new 5-star Pyro sub-DPS coming in version 6.2 alongside the Hexenzirkel system. I already made a complete guide on him, going over his kit, best build and teams you can check out. But for those of you who need a quick recap on what he does, his skill lets him enter two modes, light or dark, and both modes generate energy. His burst deals off-field pyro hits that behave differently depending on which mode you entered with his skill. In light mode, he will do AoE pyro hits that reduce enemies' resistance by 20% to pyro and the elements it reacted with, other than hydro and cryo. And in dark mode, he will do single target pyro hits that boost Durin's reaction damage with vaporize and melt by 40%. The Hexenzirkel passive that activates when you pair him with another witch character will buff the burst bonuses by 75%, reaching 35% res shred in light mode and 70% reaction damage in dark mode. This is an amazing passive, and alongside the rest of his kit, he appears to become the best pyro sub-DPS in the game. Venti is getting a new playstyle as an on-field main DPS by gaining Anemo Infusion on his normal attacks when his burst is active, and they will also have much stronger scaling than his regular physical normals, with brand new animations that extend the burst duration by 2 seconds to a total of 10 seconds. The Hexenzirkel passive he receives increases his burst damage by 135%. Any Anemo character who triggers a swirl will gain a 50% damage bonus, making him a very solid buffer for Anemo carries. He also receives buffs to some of his constellations. His C1 now also grants an additional 2 arrows to his Anemo-infused normal attacks every 0.25 seconds. And if the burst absorbed an element, these arrows will also deal that element damage. His C6 now also gives Venti 100% crit damage against enemies hit by his burst. In addition to all that, he is the only character also getting a brand new signature weapon called the Daybreak Chronicles, which has a high base attack of 674 and 44% crit damage, with an effect that increases his damage by 60%. These buffs are massive, but they don't break the game or make him or the other Anemo carries he buffs significantly stronger. However, they do make him relevant and much more enjoyable to play again, which is still a huge win. Let's go through Albedo's Hexenzirkel passive first. Whenever his skill flower deals damage, it will create up to 2 additional flowers that keep dealing damage even if the first one breaks, which is a great quality of life improvement. Additionally, when an extra flower is created, it increases the damage of everyone on the team based on his defense. Every 1000 defense grants a 4% damage increase, while Hexenzirkel characters gain 10%. It caps at 3000 defense, giving a total of 12% damage to the team, and 30% to Hexenzirkel characters, which is a very impressive team buff. As for the buffs to his kit, his Ascension 1 passive now works alongside the Hexenzirkel passive. For every extra flower created, his skill damage will increase by 120% of Albedo's defense, up to 240%, effectively doubling his skill damage, which is very impressive. He also gets some excellent constellations buffs. His C1 now grants him 50% defense, helping him reach the 3000 defense cap for his team buff. But his C2 is the major one. The Fatal Blossom hits that were previously unleashed only from his burst will now be triggered as soon as his skill generates 4 stacks, and these hits will deal 300% of Albedo's defense. In addition, they will activate his Ascension 4 passive, granting 125 elemental mastery without needing to use his burst. C4 now gives 60% plunge damage, and allows the active character inside Albedo's skill to perform a high jump by destroying an extra flower. His C6 now also destroys all extra flowers when using his burst, granting an additional 250% damage increase to the Fatal Blossoms for 20 seconds. With all these massive buffs, his value rises dramatically, making him a genuinely great character to slot into almost any team, especially alongside other Geo characters. And his constellations are much more relevant now in the free constellation selector. Mona didn't get changes to her talents, but the Hexenzirkel passive gives some really nice changes to her kit. When she hits an enemy with her normal or charge attacks, she will gain up to 3 stacks. If anyone on the team triggers Vaporize, the stacks are consumed to increase Vaporize damage by 10% per stack, up to a total of 30%. Additionally, when Mona's normal or charge attacks hit an enemy affected by an omen, the omen duration will extend by 2 seconds up to 8, for a total of 13 seconds of omen duration. Her constellations also got some strong buffs. Her C1 now grants a much higher damage bonus of 160% of its original value to off-field characters who trigger hydro reactions. Her C2, in addition to having a chance to cast her charge attack automatically, now also makes her next normal attack after casting her burst perform a free charge attack and grants an 80 elemental mastery buff to the team. C4 now also provides 15% crit damage to Hexenzirkel characters. C6 allows her to gain the stack for her charge attack without using a sprint by targeting enemies affected by her omen, and the charge attack damage to those enemies increases by 200%, effectively doubling the damage. And combined with her previous C6 effect, it actually triples her charge attack damage, making carry Mona a really strong option now. The Hexenzirkel passive alone makes Mona at C0 a great hydro support, eliminating her main weakness of short uptime. And with her constellations, she becomes a genuinely powerful unit in the meta, which you can get for free from the constellation selector, the standard character selector, or even when you lose you 50-50, raising her value a lot. Klee received buffs to her Ascension 1. Now, when her skill or normal attacks deal damage, instead of having a 50% chance to enhance her charge attack, they will collect stacks, and at 3 stacks she can unleash her enhanced charge attack. The Hexenzirkel passive she received prevents her normal attack combo from resetting if she performs an animation cancel or gets interrupted. In addition, when she performs the 3rd normal attack, she will consume the 3 stacks mentioned in her Ascension 1 and trigger a coordinated charge attack. Lastly, when she deals damage, she will gain another type of stack, also up to 3, which increases the base damage of her enhanced charge attack by up to 150%. And she didn't receive any changes to her constellations. As you can see, all these buffs focus on improving her enhanced charge attack and making them much more comfortable to execute, which was one of her biggest issues. These changes buff her to the point where she becomes a respectably strong DPS, reaching around 90k damage if you perform her combos correctly. One last thing to note is that like Albedo and Mona, you can get her constellations for free from the constellation selector. And now getting her C1 or C2 can actually bring her up to around 110k damage, which is extremely impressive. Given all these changes, I will make an updated video to my constellation selector tier list. So if that's something you want to see, then make sure to subscribe to not miss it. Razor got some massive buffs as well. He now gains a 70% damage increase to the multipliers on his burst coordinated attacks. His Hexenzirkel passive makes it so that if he gains a sigil while already having 3, it will trigger an electro strike that deals 150% of his attack and restores 7 energy. His C6 has also been upgraded. When using his skill, he now gains 3 sigils instead of 1, and after consuming them with his whole skill or burst, Razor will gain 10% crit rate and 50% crit damage for 15 seconds. Razor for the longest time was simply bad, but now with these massive buffs, his damage skyrockets while completely fixing his energy issues, bringing him up to actually compete with other 5 stars around the 100k mark, which is wild. Fischl didn't get changes to her talents. The Hexenzirkel passive she received grants a team buff when specific reactions are triggered. When triggering Overloaded, the team gains a 22.5% attack increase, and when triggering Electro Charged or Lunar Charged, the team gains 90 Elemental Mastery. She also received a buff to her C6, which doubles the effects of this Hexenzirkel passive, giving 45% attack for Overloaded and 180 EM for Electro Charged or Lunar Charged. Given how strong Fischl already was, these buffs truly solidify her place in the meta as one of the best characters. Sucrose also didn't get changes to her talents. Her Hexenzirkel passive gives a damage bonus buff to the team when using her talents. Her skill gives 5.7% and her burst gives 7.1%. She also received a buff to her C6, where in addition to the 20% elemental damage team bonus to the element absorbed by her burst, she now grants an additional 8.5% elemental damage to Hexenzirkel characters on the team of the same element. These buffs are really not an impactful change, but even before the update, Sucrose, like Fischl, was one of the best characters in the game, so she didn't really need one. The real buff they both got is simply the fact that they're now included as Hexenzirkel characters, allowing you to pair them with others to enable their great team buffs. I think the ones that I'm most excited for are obviously Durin, but also Venti and Razor. I'll be honest, these aren't the buffs that I was hoping for Venti. No one really asked for a DPS Venti. I was expecting to see a more general improvement to his supportive abilities and off-field animo application, like the other Archons, but still, seeing him finally get massive attention like that after so long is a win and get me hyped to play him again. And Razor, since he was my first ever main, and I literally explored 100% of the entire map up to Sumeru with him. I always thought his kit was one of the coolest in the game. Given I'm a huge Sasuke fan and he's literally creating a purple Susanoo that uses lightning. Even though his split damage is still a bit awkward, it opens up some really creative team options that I can't wait to try. But when it comes to which character has the most impact on the meta right now, it's probably Mona, with her perfected kit and you being able to get her for free from the standard selector or her cons from the constellation selector, as well as losing your 50-50 to her, which does raise her value a lot. Overall, it's amazing that Genshin is finally reviving these old and beloved characters and giving them the respect and power they deserve, as well as maybe even hinting that this is just the beginning of buffing old kits to bring them back to the meta, and that gets me extremely excited for the future. And that's a wrap. If this video helped you in any way, consider giving it a like and subscribe for more Feed the Guides. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!